What is up, YouTube? Thank you guys for tuning in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whenever you're watching. And if you're watching from the distant future, have we started learning from past experiences, from bad things that happen in history that we've done before and lack of judgment? Have we started learning from that and developing from that? I hope so. Now, I just wanted to jump on here quickly and give my 2 cents on the current situation. Now, I will say that I do not care. The thing is, I typically learn from people's situation and from things I see. There are lessons to be learned from a lot of things that happens in life. And that's kind of the person I am. So I wanted to give my 2 cents on the situation. My subscribers probably don't know much about these situations and probably don't care either. Heck, they don't care about my videos sometimes. Before we go further, if you're new to the channel and I might be tickling your fancy, be honest, I might be doing just that. Subscribe to the channel and join this little family. Now, let's talk. As I'm editing, I just realized that I just never explained the actual situation. So here is it in a nutshell. Trisha Paytas and Shane Dawson were friends for just about 12 years. Jeffree Star and Trisha Paytas went on a Las Vegas trip. Jeffree Star and his friends made a bunch of remarks about Trisha Paytas, making her feel bad. She left the trip early. Came back, never talked about it publicly, but did tell Shane Dawson and her close friends. Some guy made a video pretty much confirming what happened, but at the same time, Shane Dawson and Rylan Adams still supported Jeffree Star even though this happened. They never came to her defense. Rylan Adams then lied and said that Trisha Paytas never told them anything. Shane Dawson contacted her and said that he was siding with Jeffree Star because Jeffree Star was there for him when he was being cancelled. It then came out that Jeffree Star was never doing that. He actually even asked the question, when do I stop associating myself with Shane Dawson? Trisha Paytas then started to question her friendship with Shane Dawson because Shane Dawson never once defended her or called out Jeffree Star for what they were doing. At this point in time, persons started to send Trisha Paytas voice notes and messages of Shane Dawson actually bad-talking her. He even started a rumor that she had an STD. By the way, the STD thing was public. Gabby Hanna was involved as well. So the gist of it all is that Shane Dawson was never really a friend to Trisha Paytas. He was a friend to her face, but behind her back he was spreading rumors and bad-talking her. Now we sort of know why Shane Dawson chose Jeffree Star over her, because at the end of the day he felt similarly to how Jeffree Star felt. Not forgetting that he earns a lot of money with Jeffree Star. So that's the story in a nutshell. So there are 3 things that I'm going to be talking about, or 3 main points I'm going to highlight with this whole Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star situation that's been happening with Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star situation with Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star situation with Now there are 3 main points I want to highlight with this whole Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, Trisha Paytas situation. The first is going to be the truth always comes out. Maybe not always, but in some very critical times. Now, the past few years have been arguably the biggest point in Shane Dawson's career on YouTube. He's always been known as someone who is like the OG YouTuber or whatever the case is, but only as of recent has he reached like the pinnacle of success on YouTube. This is with his documentary series. His documentary series brought in millions upon millions of views every single episode. And then finally, when he had the collaboration with Jeffree Star, he pretty much reached critical mass at that point. Even considering his past, like way back in like 2013, and those years where he did things like blackface, those things were still overlooked and he was still seen as someone who brings a positive light to the community. But that is what he showed everyone. Everyone saw that on camera. This sensitive, sweet type of guy. And behind the scenes, behind all of that, he was just doing a lot, doing the most. And it sort of tells you that he might not have changed a lot from what he used to be when he was doing blackface, when he was mean to his employees and his friends and these type of things. Possibly he might not have changed much. He might just be doing it in a different way. And it's just so interesting that he was at the highest point in his career, and then just a year later, he is hiding from social media. And it just tells you that it pays to be nice to people sometimes. There is this saying, people don't remember much of what you tell them, they remember how you make them feel. And the reality is, Shane made a lot of people feel really bad, and that's sort of why all of this has been coming out to him. Do I think he's necessarily an evil person? Not really, I just think he's quite naive, and he has the mind of like a 12-year-old. Someone who is not very firm and grounded in their identity and in reality. They have like an idealistic approach to life, and because of that, they don't know much of what they actually want and who they actually are. So as a result, they hurt a lot of people on the way. Think of like a kid. Kids make mistakes and they're terrible, but a lot of their mistakes are because they're so naive in a sense. And if you sort of analyze Shane Dawson's participation in this whole situation, and these situations for that matter, it's him being like a 12-year-old brat. Most of it is not him premeditatedly being like an evil person. He just thinks he knows what he's doing and then just makes a bunch of mess in the end. And even if you listen to the words he uses, it sounds like he's a 12-year-old. Bottom line is this: today you can be at the top of your career, at the top of everything, enjoying your life. But if you don't humble yourself and ensure that you are doing the right things, introspection, tomorrow you can be at the absolute bottom of your career. A year ago, he was doing quite well. But now today, he was bad talking his friends, doing all these things behind the scene and showing only the supposedly good things on camera. And everyone was just sucking it up. And I never could quite understand why people can be so devoted to a person religiously. There are persons who I find to be an inspiration or something that they have things that I can learn from somewhere or the other. But people can support someone blindly and think that someone is so good and pure. That's not always the case. A lot of times you just don't know what is happening behind the scenes, behind the camera, in their personal lives, in their private moment. And you're devoting yourself to them so much. And typically when they do something that really disappoints you, it's like you feel as though you're lost. Which you kind of are, if you want to be devoted that much to some person. I think on that note, you can also say that people put these celebrities on this pedestal where they have this unattainable level of perfection, where if they do anything that seems remotely human, then they should lose their platform because they're not perfect enough for it. Sort of why a lot of persons try to keep certain things behind closed doors because of how the world works. And it's just so annoying. And this brings me to my second point, that people enable this. Their supporters enabled this. Society enabled this. I'm not a part of society.
I'm an alien, so...
There's that. But it's just so annoying. Everyone enabled this. People allowed this to happen. And this is the same reason why Shane Dawson did blackface, because people praised him for it. Back in the days when he did it, people never really made him stop and think for himself, is this right or wrong? Yes, some persons did try, but the overwhelming amount of people that supported him made him think that the problem was with the persons who were calling him out, not with what he was doing. I will say that the world was a different place in 2010 versus now. Regardless of what you want to think, it was a different time back then. Because if someone did blackface now, they would be destroyed. But it took the world changing for him to actually stop doing that. As I said in one of my older videos, if nothing changed with the world, he would have still been doing blackface. The only reason why he did it was because persons found it amusing and it was entertaining to people. Now everyone is looking back and being like, oh yeah, that was bad. It's the same thing for Jeffree Star. People kept supporting them even though they were doing wrong things. There were some persons who were trying to say that, they were doing wrong things, but then the overwhelming amount of persons would be attacking the people who were calling them out on their BS and what they're doing. And then there you go, the person just thinks like, I'm this good person, I'm doing great, my supporters love me, I'm getting paid every single day, so I don't need to worry about this. It sort of speaks to the point that humans only develop. In fact, any living organism does that. That's how evolution works. You only develop if you find a need to, if you're forced to. That is biology. You wouldn't develop unless you have to. And so because they never saw that they needed to really develop and do better, then they didn't. All of the jokes they were making, all of the things that they were doing, person just like,
that's so funny, Jeffree Star is so mean, isn't that cool? He's such a diva, I like the divaness.
And to be quite honest, it is entertaining. But at the same time, there is a line you don't cross. The lesson there to be learned is introspection. Objectively look at yourself and see what you're doing. If it's helping for the greater good or hindering. Objectively, a lot of people can't do that because they lie to themselves and be like, oh, I'm such a good person, I'm doing great things, I help people, but they just forget that they're doing bad things and affecting a lot of things more than they're doing good But they refuse to look at that because it makes them look bad. But this whole community and society enabling them brings me to my third and final point. Now, in my first point, I talked about how people put celebrities on a pedestal and they just worship them and think that they're these moral gods that can do no wrong. And even when they do wrong, these people just overlook when they do wrong, just turn their eyes. And when they're doing right again, just look.
Oh, they're so wonderful. They need to be praised.
You know? While at the same time, there are certain celebrities or certain influencers that when they make one mistake, they're demons. They tear them down, destroy them if they show any sign that they're anything but perfect. You hold them up to this standard of perfection while simultaneously some people can make mistakes while some can't. Double standards. I watch this YouTuber called Spill Sesh, I think it's called. Now, I like her voice a lot, so I kind of watch her videos in the background. Some videos I don't watch and I just cut it off because I think it's just stupid. So she was talking about, she was rewatching the videos where Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson, they were shopping at Walmart. And Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson were pretty much making jokes about their wealth. Shane Dawson was saying he's so poor and Jeffree Star is so rich. And Jeffree Star would talk about, oh, that's why Tana Mojo shops there or whatever the case is. And they were just pretty much, what's it, rich shaming or poor shaming, is it? What it's called? Whatever it's called. It's a new thing. So that's what was happening. And so she was saying she was so disgusted by that. It's so bad that they're doing that and she can't believe that they're making these types of jokes. That video is out over a year now. And no one said it then. It was funny then, wasn't it? But now it's not funny at all because of other content that was added to the situation, or for a specific context, you're looking at it now with a specific lens. So now it becomes poor shaming. But back then it wasn't poor shaming. Why not? You're looking at the jokes that these people are making now and they're saying,
oh my gosh, that's so bad. How can they be doing these things?
She's not the only one that thinks that way, by the way. Just saying, I'm just using her as a starting point. They're looking and they're saying, oh, these guys are doing such a bad thing. And they're so disgusted. But no one was saying that when this video came out, how much years ago? Why was no one saying that? But if someone else on YouTube does anything that is remotely controversial, they're dragged, as they would say, on YouTube because of some little stupid thing that doesn't make any sense. PewDiePie is a good example. I feel so sorry for him sometimes because the amount of crap he has to put up with in the media. The reality is that people hold everyone up to these double standards. Like some persons can do this, some persons can't do this. They're very specific and pick and choose with who they want. And it all boils down to preference as far as I'm concerned. And people are very just opinionated about things. Like, why would people do matters to you? If it's not affecting you much, then why is it like such a big deal? Does no one think this? I cannot be the only one that thinks this. It's just a very different world we're living in, and I think it's just going to get worse because people are so superficial these days and their sense of honor and morale is just very, very superficial. And that's what you get. But anyways, I just wanted to come on here and talk about these things. I didn't really structure this video much, so some parts in the video I'm probably rambling, but I just wanted to come on here quickly and just talk about it, especially because I want to make sure that my YouTube channel keeps getting uploads because YouTube, I can't say the word, but they do something to me that makes me feel sad. It begins with F. And then sideways. I need to make sure my uploads are very constant so that the algorithm is in my favor. This video shout out goes to David Adams, Space Star XD, and Kingdoms. You guys were the first 3 persons to comment on my previous 3 videos. I haven't done a sit down video in a while, so I haven't been able to, give the shout out. But you guys were the first persons to comment on my previous 3 videos, so thank you guys for that. And if you want to be in my next video shout out, be the first person to comment on this video, and I'll be sure to shout you out. Now with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell to be the first person to know when I upload a new video. Like this video and enjoy the rest of whenever you were watching.